Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Vandy Blitz. We got Ethan, Jacob, Joe, and Andrew today. Theo may be joining us. His schedule is a little uncertain, but nonetheless, we got some sports to talk about. So, guys, first thing that I want to talk about, just because I think you guys know, if you're listeners and if you listen to my commentary, you guys know I'm a big NBA fan first and foremost. I also love the NFL, but basketball is my favorite sport. And this Russell Westbrook for John Wall trade is very, very interesting to me, especially with the James Harden situation and how that's unfolding. And so I want to talk a bit about that. Jacob, I know you pay attention to the basketball world a lot too. Joe, Andrew, I'd just love to hear your guys' thoughts, and then we'll see how the conversation goes.
Yeah, definitely an interesting move. Not one that many would have predicted earlier in the off season. The thing that I was interested by is kind of like those two players are on some of the worst contracts in the NBA, and just to see them being shuffled around by teams is like kind of interesting. I think like
Russell Westbrook is the worst contract trade piece. That's what he is now. He got traded for Chris Paul because Chris Paul's contract was basically untradeable. Yep. And then now he's traded for John Wall because John Wall's contract is also basically untradeable, just like Russell Westbrook's. It's all those aging point guards, massive max contracts. But you know what? I think the Wizards got a lot better in this move, and I think the Wizards are a legitimate playoff team. I think Russell Westbrook does that to you, and I think now they're going to be fighting for that sort of middle of the pack playoff seed in the East.
And I want to add one thing. I think John Wall is a great talent, but something that Russell Westbrook brings is kind of that, like, he's a bit more elite than John Wall, and that stardom. And he also, Hashimura, one of the forwards, said that he's going to change the culture. And I'm really excited to see how Westbrook plays with Bradley Beal and all all those guys.
Like, will he change the culture though, or is he gonna?
I think so. I think Russ is that kind of dynamic, electric locker room presence.
He's electric,
and he has a bad reputation for no reason. Like I looked into it. He's not a bad teammate. Every single teammate that's played with him, if you guys look into it, there's reports, there's articles with all these quotes. It's like everyone loves the guy. PG loved the guy. This is another topic I want to talk about. The only player that's like a big time name that hasn't loved playing with Russell Westbrook so far, from what we've seen, is James Harden. Even Kevin Durant said he loved playing with Russell Westbrook. So then we have to start looking at James Harden, because he's gotten Dwight Howard there in his time in Houston. He's gotten Chris Paul. He had Trevor Ariza. He's got Russell Westbrook. Now he's got John Wall. What's the problem? What's going on? My argument, it's James Harden's style of play, and he's too stubborn to move off of it because of his sort of basketball ego, his MVP conversation, how important that is to him. He doesn't want to change his play style, and that's creating conflict and, trouble in Houston, and that's becoming pretty visible with all the trade talks with not only Westbrook but also Harden.
I think that John Wall though will be someone that he could some star power that could actually kind of help actually facilitate James Harden's style of play.
Well, do we think James Harden's staying on the Rockets? That's the big question.
That is a big question.
I think if he does stay, it won't be like there's only room for one of us. I think John Wall, he's coming off of obviously not really playing last season from his injury, and I think that he can realize that who James Harden is. He's obviously not going to say that he's he's not going to put himself down as a player, but
right.
I think that John Wall is more of a facilitator than Russell Westbrook is. And I think he'll build off each other for sure more. But I think that's the question.
Yeah, Joe, that's a great observation. But in my opinion, we've seen Daryl Morey, we've seen Mike D'Antoni, we've seen Russell Westbrook, and I think we're going to see James Harden leave Houston. I think there's going to be this exodus out of Houston where all these pieces that they've built and traded so many first round picks for and all that, it's just done. That's why they traded Russ for John Wall and a first. They're making some moves to enter this rebuild. And
Ethan,
you know what? I think it's time, because I think the championship window in Houston is over.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the sooner that they buy into the rebuild, the better. If they try to hold on for Harden another year, I say that you get what you can get for him right now, because I don't think there's a better opportunity for that rebuild to start.
Agreed. I hope he ends up in Philly. I hope the Ben Simmons Harden trade goes down. We see Harden and Embiid, but then that's an awkward situation in Houston because Ben Simmons and John Wall would not mesh well together.
But Ethan, the Sixers president said that the only thing he would do, he cannot trade Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So it's very tough to imagine a trade with James Harden involved and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid not being in that trade.
Another shooter. That's a great point, Will. There's obstacles to a lot of trades. Another potential suitor is the Toronto Raptors. They're always in these conversations. They got a lot of young assets. They got a lot of picks, and they got Siakam. And, the Rockets may or may not want Siakam, but there's been articles, and the Raptors have been mentioned along with the Nets, the Heat, which, Jacob, I'm sure you're opposed to, because if any logical Heat fan heard that James Harden wanted, he would ruin the culture in Miami, in my opinion.
I don't know if I agree with that.
But you still want James Harden, though.
So here's the thing. Harden can come to Miami, but they're not trading Hero. Like, he's off limits.
Yeah, that's what I saw an article about that today.
Yeah, so like if they can work something around with like Kanon, like some of the other
there's no way. There's no way. James Harden, I think the return package for him would be like a great player and 3 picks. 3 first-round picks.
I think there would have to be several teams involved if the Miami Heat were to pull it off, but
I think the Raptors are the most likely, and the Sixers. I think there's no way the Nets do it because they're not trading KD or Kyrie, and Harden just has no leverage. Like he just has no leverage.
You think he wants to play in Toronto? Like obviously the team is great, but like, do you think he wants to like be in Toronto? Like it's not the most.
I mean, why not?
I don't know. I'm obviously
like
it's not
that.
Like,
I feel like that's his next and only opportunity to win a championship.
Yeah, I don't mean it in the way as in.
Sorry, there's a connection issue, Joe.
It's all good. I don't mean it in the way that like obviously people don't want to go to Milwaukee, but like, and I get that Kawhi went there, but Kawhi also in a way is like a little bit of different wired kind of human being than James Harden. Like being in Houston, like you're around, like you have a good like setup there. Like you're around like a lot of people. Like it's a great city to be in. I don't know if he's gonna want to go like all the way up north and leave a lot of things behind to do that.
They're not playing in Toronto.
They have strip clubs in Toronto.
I don't think there's enough strip clubs in Toronto.
Guys,
they're some strip clubs in Toronto.
Guys, they're playing in Tampa Bay this year. Remember, because of that COVID rule?
Yeah.
Oh, they got hella strip clubs in Tampa Bay.
They're playing in Tampa this year.
I just think he's handled the situation so poorly, though. Just with the way that he's handled this trade request from the Rockets, it's making him look immature. But that's sort of the biggest story. Oh, sorry, did you have something to say?
Yeah, no, it's just hard for any player when there's that much turnover in an organization they've been with for so long. Like, I'm sure he feels like at this point, like he doesn't belong, like, because none of the people that like got him there and really we're through like everything, like all of the past like years where they've had some really deep playoff runs, haven't been able to capitalize. Like, I'm sure that's tough for him.
I think you're right. And that's kind of like the big story in the basketball world. Things have settled down a little bit since that craziness a couple weeks ago with the training camp beginning. These teams are starting to get used to each other. The season begins in like 2 weeks, which is ridiculous. It doesn't feel like that's the case. But I want to transition to football because we saw some interesting games this week, to say the least. The 2 that I want to talk about are the 11-0 Steelers losing to the Redskins, and also the Seahawks losing to the Giants.
The football team.
Football team. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's on me. That's on my.
Shame on you.
So
shame on me.
Yeah, go on. So
I was just gonna say. Sorry, go ahead. This Zoom stuff's kind of hard sometimes. Go ahead, Andrew.
So this is my take. The Steelers have been playing well, but it finally caught up to them. They do not run the football. Ben Roethlisberger should not be throwing the ball 53 times. That's not how you play good football. Another thing is the Steelers' defense could not stop J.D. McKissick receiving at the end of the drive. They went to him like 11 times. And I think The Steelers just have a few issues. I think it's a blessing in disguise that they lost. So they know the feeling, and they kind of like know how to bounce back from that.
You know, I saw an article about Marshawn Lynch trying to come out. I mean, like, obviously he's not the same as like he would ever. You saw that too, Jacob? Yeah. I saw like a thing about how he's like, obviously he wants to get a Super Bowl. He's like, I'm trying to like, he wants to get like he's like, I'm trying to go to a Super Bowl contender or whatever. I'm wondering if like that would like help it out. I don't think so, but like it's just an interesting story.
I think he's too old to be very effective right now.
And Mike Tomlin's not like that. He doesn't get guys in the middle of the season with big names.
Yeah.
You look at their whole offense, they're all drafted.
Hopefully when
he's not like a coach.
What'd you say, Jacob?
I was just gonna say I think James Conner has been dealing with I think he's been on the COVID list, so hopefully when he comes back they'll be more efficient with the run game. But I've been saying that all year. If you look at the Steelers' schedule, they have not played like a really tough schedule. So I think there's
So are they overrated?
No, not overrated. Well, yes, their record overrates them. I don't think the schedule is representative of the team, like in all cases.
I'm always a big advocate for saying that, like if a team is like a 11-0, let's say, or 11-1, there's no way you can really say. I mean, like obviously, unless they were treated like gods, which I don't think they even are, like in general, then I'd say they're overrated. But like in the NFL, like we all know, and like these teams know, like you can still be one of the best teams in history, but like it's very hard to win every week.
Yeah.
You could lose to a very easy team
for sure,
based off of schematics or luck. Like look at the Chiefs Broncos game. You see Tyreek Hill have 2 touchdowns called back, one of them in which he actually caught it, and who would have ever known he did. And the other one was a holding penalty. Like there's little things that can happen that can make a game so much closer. And then let's say something else happened in that game, could have lost that game. But does that make the Chiefs does that make the Chiefs hated? Like no. But like
you're right.
There's a
no. So I guess the question, right? So I guess the question isn't, are they overrated? I guess that's not the big question for this team. The big question is, can they beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
Or
no.
Another team that's up there in the AFC that I think is underrated. I think they're a top 5 team in the league is the Buffalo Bills, and they're playing Pittsburgh this week. They're 2.5 point favorites. Josh Allen.
Love me some Josh Allen, man. That guy's a stud.
Buffalo's a favorite?
Yeah, 2.5. I think.
No, you're right. Yeah, -2. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I
granted it is in Buffalo, but still.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting conversation, and then we talk about the Giants versus the Seahawks, and talk about how that panned out. No one expected the Giants to win that game. Not a soul on the planet.
I was shocked.
I was shocked as well. For me, Russell Wilson is out of the MVP race after these last couple weeks. But what do we think? Is it more of a good showing for the Giants, or a poor showing and a bad indication for the Seahawks?
I think it's both. I mean, I admittedly I didn't watch the full game. I watched like little clips, but from what I see, like there's so much hype around DK and everything, and like he's a great receiver. But like, I don't know. It's like you see all these like clips. Like the NFL always chooses players that they're like, I'm gonna feature this guy like constantly. Obviously, Mahomes is like the biggest one. Like he makes a throw that like somebody else might make. And I'm not taking away from Mahomes, but like he's definitely the best.
Stafford makes almost every throw Mahomes makes. Stafford is the
there's
most underrated
quarterback
in the league.
But they're not shown like on those highlight clips, and it's with DK as well, like all those things that I can't take away from him. He's a specimen, but like at the same time, like the Seahawks like are just that's a situation.
He is leading the league in receiving.
You can't lose to the Giants. You just can't lose to the Giants. Like you're late in the season and like you're trying to contend for your division and stuff. Like you cannot lose to the Giants. It's just
you're right. You're right, Jim. You're right.
I think the Giants were playing with a lot of passion, and their defense is the 10th ranked defense in the league, opposed to their offense, which I think is 31st. So everyone looks at the Giants as like a terrible offense, but it's really about their defense this week and shutting down the big playmakers in Seattle. And I think the Giants played with a lot of heart. and that's why they ended up getting the W at the end
They're
of
on
the
a
day.
sneaky 4-win streak, by the way. Didn't
Very
even know
sneaky.
that. Very sneaky.
So who's taking the NFC East?
Oof.
I honestly want to see the football team take it just for Alex Smith.
I saw a
He's such a
stat
good
though that
story.
like the Giants never like lose to the Reds, like to the Washington football team. They like I saw a stat about that. Like they're like I think they already played them twice, right? Or am I wrong about
How
that?
long is Daniel Jones out though? I mean, like Colt McCoy, like
I think Daniel Jones was practicing this week. I could be wrong.
Okay, because I think Daniel Jones is a good player, and I think that he could definitely win some games, like at the end of the season here. But
So the Giants play the Cardinals, which I think could be a loss. The
That's
Browns,
definitely a loss.
the Ravens, and the Cowboys. So the Giants, I'm going to say, are going to go 1-3 or 2-2 there. And the football team plays San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina, and Philadelphia. So they could both go. Yeah,
That's
it's going to be fun.
It's gonna be close.
You go
Honestly, the
0-4. They could
NFC
literally go
East,
0-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone could go 0-4, but the NFC East has gone from the just black hole of good football to a really entertaining division to watch.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's so awful, but it's kind of entertaining because of that.
You're right.
It's a weird situation for sure.
It's like a car crash. You just can't look away. You're like,
You can't
who's
look
coming
away.
out of this alive? Who's
Yeah.
making the playoffs with a 7-9 record?
Yep.
Yep. Well, anything to look forward to in this next week? You guys, any matchups to watch, you think?
Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins Chiefs. I think that's going to be a competitive. I'm hoping it's going to be
If
competitive.
it becomes a shootout, we're gonna get destroyed. But if it doesn't, I think it could. Like the only issue is that like I'm watching the Broncos game, right? And I'm like, oh my god, like the Chiefs are gonna come into next week like so pissed off from like barely beating the Broncos and just like kill us. But then again, like
That's a division
like,
game, though. Those division games are tough.
I hear the commentators every week saying this, and they say, listen, like at a certain point, it can't be we're gonna play them. It's like they gotta play us. And I think that Brian Flores obviously has an amazing culture going on with the team. So I think that if the Dolphins have that mantra, like they need to play us. Like obviously the Chiefs, I admit, are a better team, but like they have to play the Miami Dolphins at home. They have to play Miami Dolphins, like the Miami Dolphins, the team. They have to play their team. Like they have to play the defense that's been scoring every single week for the past like longest active streak in the NFL. They have to play.
When we have that defense going up against Le'Veon Bell, Patrick Mahomes,
exactly.
two of the top three leading receivers in the league. Like, honestly, I think the Chiefs are bound for another Super Bowl. I think Patrick Mahomes is bound for another MVP. And while that matchup could be interesting, I don't think it's going to slow down the Chiefs' momentum, and I think they're going to take that one.
I think they're probably going to win.
And another,
So
and another matchup. Yeah, go on.
The one thing I'll say really quick, and then you go on, Wilf, is that the one thing that I see the only way really to beat a Chiefs team is obviously you can't let it get
in their division.
Yeah, you can't let it get to a shootout. 1 and 2, you need a run game to mow down the Chiefs to keep them off the field. And the Dolphins have 0 run game, so that's why I see it really hard for us to like win this.
Gaskin's been running well though.
He's not, but he's not like Derrick Henry. Like, you know what I mean? Like you need like a beast. Like when the Raiders beat them, it was Josh Jacobs, like constant running the ball over and over. Like the Titans gave them a run for their money in the playoffs because Derrick Henry is just like a mowing machine. Like you need a guy like that. And and we need to draft a running back next year. We need like I saw like there's a mock like Najee Harris. Like I want like a running back like that, something like that. But Will, if you go on, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, like another big power game in the AFC is the Monday night matchup between the Browns and the Ravens.
Oh.
So the Browns are coming off of a 4-game winning streak. And the last time they played the Ravens, they lost 38-6. So I think this is going to be a really fun game. A lot of implications with the second spot in the AFC North and the wild card spot. My matchup to watch here is the Cleveland Browns stout defense against a J.K. Dobbins, a Mark Ingram, and a Lamar Jackson from the rushing perspective.
I have to say really quickly, the Browns cannot be good. Like this cannot be real. Like they're gonna find a way to like up this year. Like I know it.
No, they can't. They're gonna make.
Honestly, I believe in the Browns this year. I believe in the Browns.
You're
Play the
buying it?
Jets. So
I'm not buying the Browns.
I mean, hey, so who do you see taking that game? Let's make a prediction. I have one more matchup, and then we'll close it out. One more matchup to watch, but Browns Ravens. I see the Browns taking that game 31-24.
I think Browns win 21-14.
I would say, I mean, obviously I have to give a score, but like if the game is high scoring, the Browns take it. I see Browns taking this game. Like, I don't even know, choose random numbers, like what, like 28 to like
Hodges
17. Like, just Lamar is like just not the same. The guy's a bum. So
yeah, I know he's not the same.
I'm not.
Theo just joined. What's up, Theo?
So we are just predicting the Browns Ravens Monday night game. Jacob was gonna go ahead, and then you can go after, and then we got one more matchup to watch, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not buying the Browns this year. I think the Ravens are gonna take them out 27-24.
Yeah, obviously I was a little late to this conversation, but I agree with Jacob. I like the Browns have a 9-3 record. Obviously, that's a very, very good record, but and like I would have to look at their schedule to make these statements, but I just don't think they're all that, to be honest with you. So I'll take the Ravens 27-24. Did I just copy
one more thing before moving on.
I didn't even realize.
One more thing before moving on. I feel like you guys are only low on the Browns because they're the Browns, not because of anything they've demonstrated on the field. I think it's just because of that Cleveland just like terrible. Sorry, there's some connection issues. I didn't hear what you said, but I'm assuming we're good to move to the next matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking Green Bay, Detroit, always a matchup to watch. Might not seem like it on paper, but these division games get competitive, and Detroit just has their new coach in Bevel, who's actually exciting the team. After the Patricia firing, they looked pretty good against the Bears, putting up a lot of points on that defense, which is one of the best defenses in the league. I don't know. I see this game being close. With the way Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones are playing, that Aaron backfield, I mean, it's hard to imagine the Green Bay Packers losing this game, but you know the history of this matchup is contentious, and it's always competitive, and that's why I think it's a game to watch. However, I do have the Packers winning 23-21.
Yeah, and let me add something real quick. Ethan, we know you're a big Detroit Lions guy, but we have to realize that the Detroit Lions defense is 28th again for the run, and the Packers, they have Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, the rookie, and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. I think the Packers win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't think the game's even close.
No, I agree, Wilf. This game, the Lions are not a real team, and the Packers are they're
Dude, I don't know.
They're contenders.
The Packers are. Hey, you know what? Next episode, if this game is within, I want to make something interesting out of this because we have some wildly different.
Next episode, if the Lions and the Packers, the game is within 3 points, I will do 50 push-ups on camera.
No. How about we say within 7, you do 35?
Fair. Jacob and Joe, you in this?
Yeah, I'm in that.
I think I agree with Wilf's assessment of it being a kind of a blowout, but like just to acknowledge, like, because I think it's such a blowout and I feel like it's such a no-brainer, I want to just acknowledge the fact that the Lions put the Bears last week in the colossal downfall of the Bears organization over this season. How can you go from being such high hopes to just being in such a gutter? That's 6 losses in a row now. And they were up on the Lions. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
They were up. There was a fourth quarter, last-minute comeback, and the last minute stuff.
Dude, they got 21-7 in the second half. Oh my god! Shout out Smiley. This sucks to be a Bears fan.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I hear you guys being low on the Lions. That's all right. I think with Bevel, Stafford's flame is reignited. The team is just got this new attitude to it. It's a new chip on their shoulder. They want to play football. They didn't want to under Matt Patricia, and now they do. And honestly, a division matchup like this, they're going to come out and try to make a statement for this new coach. And that is why I think that you guys are all going to be doing 35 push-ups next episode on camera, and I'm going to laugh. And you know what? I'll reciprocate. If it's not within 7 points, I will do 35 push-ups in the next episode.
Yeah, you have to do 55 because you're Jim Harden.
That's true.
Big gym guy.
All right, fine. I'll do 55 push-ups. You each do 35. Whether the Lions, so I guess our under over is 7. Is them being down 7 for the Vandy Blitz.
I mean, it is spread also, so it's pretty
Yeah.
fair. We'll see.
I didn't give my score prediction yet, so I'm with the majority here.
Foolish.
Lions are a real team, and yeah, I mean the Packers look hot. What are they? 10-2?
9-3.
9-3. Like
We're coming for that wild card spot.
That's not a Browns 9-3, by the way. That's a real 9-3. So I see them taking this game by more than 2 touchdowns. Yeah.
A lot to a little. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, we'll see. We end the episode on an interesting note. I'm looking forward to this Sunday so that I can text all of you in this group chat and just say, haha, I told you so. And if the Lions win, it'll be just that much sweeter because I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a close game. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. But that's it for this episode of the Vandy Blitz. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will talk with you again next week.
See you guys.
See you later.
Peace out, everyone.